Good morning. My name's John Payne, and I'm for about 2 more months on the select board in Shelburne, and then am retiring after a number of years. So I speak without fear of open meeting law, except for a couple more months. Attorney General Healy, you hit all the right notes with your sensitivity to the problems of open meeting law and the difficulties of being a volunteer in a small town and trying to do some form of public service. You also welcomed feedback, even though you're not responsible for this mess that's called open meeting law. And I have 4 things that I'd like to suggest, some of which have already been touched upon. The first one is the use of open meeting law to harass public officials. We have an example in a town near us where there are 3 or 4 people who are angry at town officials who are actually gone from the town job now, but they continue to request minutes and do other things to harass the public officials. I was pleased to hear you say you have the ability to declare that harassment and not pursue it. That hasn't changed yet in this particular town. They are still being harassed. So that's one problem. Second one is personnel. Yes, you can use executive session for personnel sessions, but that's kind of like dragging somebody into court. That's kind of like using a sledgehammer to kill a fly. There are many situations where the best way to resolve a personnel issue is to sit down with the individual. However, you can't do that without talking to your colleagues and being sure that you've got the approach right, you've got the tone right, etc. And you can't do that unless you do it in open session and then it's in the newspaper that Billy Joe is going to be disciplined for such and such. So we need more flexibility in talking among ourselves about personnel issues without it becoming public. The third one is brainstorming. I know there are these focus group opportunities, but that doesn't really provide the flexibility we need. I'll give you another example. We have an 8-member school district that's got several buildings that are half empty. We've got a wonderful senior center that's bursting at the seams. We've got a police department crammed into 2 rooms in the town office. We've got a town office that's too big. There ought to be a way to sit down and reshape our space use so that we can accommodate everybody efficiently. We can't brainstorm with a way to do that except in public session. You probably come up with 15 great ideas, 8 of which you have to discard, but they're all listed in the newspaper and you've got people's nose out of joint, etc. So we need an informal way to brainstorm. Obviously, after the brainstorming, you come up with a plan. That does have to be public discussion. That has to be available for people to think about and talk about. But we need a way to get there first. Mm-hmm. And then finally, emails. I thought the first suggestion I heard was a wonderful suggestion. We need a better way as volunteers, as people who have real jobs in addition to this job, to talk among ourselves, to share information, to generate the flow. We still have to bring that information back to be discussed in a public forum. That's absolutely fine. But we have to be able to flow that information out without being at risk of violating open meeting law. Finally, I don't know what to do with this. I have the impression that a lot of the pressure to tighten, to change open meeting law is coming from not the public, but the press and their desire to make their job easier by knowing which meeting they want to go to, etc. And that just galls me. I'm perfectly happy to make information available to the public, but I don't think we should have laws that make the press's job easier, particularly since they haven't done anything to earn that. Thank you.
That is fighting words. Yeah.